Hey guys, welcome to the Food Techies channel. Today's topic is cream cheese and its processing. And the speaker for today's webinar is Miss Mansi Shah, FSQA technician at Cream Cheese Factory in USA. So she is a food technologist, masters from Anand University, Gujarat, and trained at McKean Foods and Patson Foods in Gujarat. And being a FSQA technician, they assist and eliminate the product concerns and maintain accurate details compliance records. She also looks over the HACCP implementation, the sanitization SOPs, the GMPs, and other food safety related documents, and even the food quality certifications and various other manufacturing activities. So, for the today's topic, she's a specialist in cream cheese making, and we will watch this video till the end.
Okay, thanks, Prafullya, and the whole team who are organizing this such a wonderful session. So, good morning and a warm welcome to the webinar to everyone. I hope you and your family are safe and healthy in this COVID-19 situation. So, today I'm going to talk about the cream cheese and its processing. So, little bit I'm going to talk about the cream cheese and its science or little bit chemistry, and it's one of the popular product we make from a cream cheese, that is the cheesecake, which is very popular in United States. So I would like to share my industrial experience over here with all of you. So I'm gonna cover some introduction of a cream cheese, its uses, some detailed process of the manufacturing cream cheese, what are the food additives they use for commercial procedure of the cream cheese. Then I'm gonna talk about the cheesecake, its detailed processing in which industry I'm gonna working, and what are the controlling parameters, and some brief to the US regulation. I'm not going to go in deep with the US regulation, but we'll surely talk and have some guidelines about that. So if as we all know, like we all are familiar with all the mainly in India processed cheese and mozzarella cheese, but nowadays a lot of different variety of cheese are available, especially by a more like Gouda cheese or goat cheese. But in India, the cream cheese is not that much available. And the controversy in United States, the cream cheese is just like they use as a regular butter. So it was very popular from mid 18th century. I can explain cream cheese is a very soft and usually mild tasting fresh cheese made from milk and combination of little bit cream. And about the spreadability, I'm talking about the just like the butter, they use a stabilizer like carrageenan gum or the carrageenan. So if I talk about the exact definition of the cream cheese, how one can define is, so US FDA has defined the cream cheese as containing at least 33% milk fat with a moisture content of not more than 55% and the pH range of 4.4 to 4.9. It is little bit acidic. And cream cheese is a more comparable in taste, texture, and production method to the Boursin and Mascarpone. These are another two cheese which are very popular in United States. But today I'm going to explain about the cream cheese, and it's the product, the cheesecake. So what are the cream cheese? So they can used as a spread on a bread or bagels or cracker. They can used as a dip. It can be used with other ingredients like yogurt or jelly, or you can add the herbs and you can make just like garlic butter. You can make the different herbs with the cream cheese. They can be even used in cooking to thicken the sauce or gravy. And sometimes they are used in a place of making cookies or cake instead of butter. Like if you have to not use the butter, then you can use two parts of cream cheese instead of one part of butter. So it's quite very flexible properties, having different uses and all. So now if we talk about the processing, like completely processing of the cream cheese, here is the flow chart. And I'm talking the commercial production of the cream cheese. So it's not sure like everybody gonna follow the same thing, but this is the like quite ideal flow chart for separating the cream cheese or making the cream cheese from curdling of the milk process. So as we all know, first we have a in industry they just standardize the milk, and as we everybody know like what is the standardization. So it is just the adjustment adjustment with the rising or lowering the fat content and the solid not fat content. After that, they do the homogenization. After the homogenization is done, milk was pasteurized. After the pasteurization, there is a different kind of the incubation in commercial way they do. Some is the short, some is the long set. And after either way, like it just depend on the company policy and how they're gonna use and which will be the feasible according to their requirement and according to requirement that the procedure. After that, we have to acidify the milk, and as we all know, like here at home, what we do, we just add the lactic acid, I mean the citric acid, lemon juice, or the vinegar, and after that we can see all the green water is separated, which is called as a whey. So as a commercial, they can do, like if it's the small scale industry, then they just draining in a cloth bags, but if it's more commercial and more hybrid industry, they can use the centrifugal separator and the ultrafiltration. So after the waste separation is there, and here I can like to say, like the waste separation is there, so they can use the byproduct and they can make a lot of beverages from the whey, which are very healthy. Even at home we also use some whey for making the dough, or we can add in our dal or soup or anything. So once we add the food additives to make it more good shelf life and for the taste, and after that there are two type of the cream cheese we can have: cold pack and hot pack. Generally in United States they use the cold pack cream cheese a lot. Now what happened, like how the curdling process take place, the cream cheese, how it happened, let me explain about little bit more. So as we all know, like in a milk they have a protein molecules, and protein molecules in milk, they contain a negative surface charge. So because of that negative surface charge, the milk remain in a liquid state. Now those molecules act as a surfactants. Because of the surfactant, they form the micelles around the particles of the fat and keep them in emulsion. Now let me just define the surfactant and emulsion. Definitely everybody will know, but if just let me brush up about that. Like surfactant means what? Like compound that lower the surface tension between two liquids or a gas or a liquid. And emulsion means like there is a mixture of two or more liquids which are normally invisible. So when the protein molecules work as a surfactant and keeping them in emulsion, after that in a previous flowchart I told you about, like as addition of the bacteria for cultivate the culture. So here generally commercial basis they add the lactic acid bacteria to the pasteurized and homogenized milk. So during the fermentation around like 22 to 25 degree, what happened, the pH of the milk is decreased, means it become more acidic. So because of those nature, the amino acid present in the protein, they begin losing the charge and they become neutral. Once they become neutral, they're turning the fat micelles from the hydrophilic to hydrophobic, and because of that the liquid started to coagulate, and here we use the term curdling or the whey separation and the solid fat. So as we all know, like once it is once it is cultivated and when it is done from the waste separation. Now here is the at the commercial level I would like to explain about, like for example I told like bacteria should be there around 22 degree, around I can say just 10 to 15 minutes. But by chance if we left bacteria for a longer time, that will be again more reduction in a pH, and what happened again, those protein micelles gonna attain the positive charge, and again the liquid gonna come, again the mixture gonna become in a liquid state, and we don't want that. If we're gonna have that, we can't separate those cream cheese from the milk. So here there is the process come that over there we have to heating the mixture so bacteria cannot grow and we don't have all the curdling problem. So over there we can kill the bacteria by heating like 52 to 63 degrees, and once we heating the mixture, there is we get the isoelectric point of the cheese, at which state we're gonna have the neutral state of the cheese, and here we can found the cream cheese. Now if we have an inaccurate timing of the heating, we're gonna have very bad smell of cheese, or like sometimes the shelf life can also be effective. So here I just brief about how the cream cheese gonna happen and how it is became, and the chemistry about like how the negative charge become the positive, and if we do not not incubate and we can have the inferior quality of the cream cheese. Now, before we put or before we finish our final product, as everybody know, like nowadays we don't like the shelf life just within 1 month or 2 months. Everybody need at least 9 months to 11 months of the shelf life. So once we get the cream cheese, as we know, like cream cheese contains a higher fat content from any other cheese. So because of that, there that can be happen like fat repels the water, and if fat started to repels the water, it's gonna separate the cheese, and we don't want that at commercial level. So over there we can add the stabilizer, and as a stabilizer we can add the guar gum or carabinol gum, and the stabilizer will work as a two things. One, it can increase the shelf life, plus another thing, it will stop the fat molecules to do not repels the water, so our cream cheese will be in a solid form. Sometimes they add cream also to adjust the milk fat, then salt to taste, then nitrogen to improve the spreadability. As I explained you, like cream cheese in United States or any of the country, it is just the spreadable. It is little bit thick than the butter, but it is more good for the spreadability. You can use for the cracker and all the uses I have explained you. We can also use the gelling or thickening or emulsifying agent as a xanthan gum or gelatin, but the usage by the US FDA is maximum 0.5% only. Now, as we know, like food additives, like why they are defined as a food additives or food preservatives, because they are really good and they can increase the shelf life, but there are some regulations on preservatives. We can't use more than some certain amount. So for the same cream cheese we can use the sorbic acid or propionic acid. We can use independently or the combined one, but if we use combined one, it should not be more than 3000 parts per million. Now, what are the acceptable enzyme at commercial level in a cream cheese making industry are using? So there are three enzymes. One is the chymosin A and B, another is a pepsin, and another third one is the rennet. And I'm not going in detail, but just let me brief you about the chymosin is the proteolytic enzyme and which is synthesized in a chief cells in the stomach of animals. So when the animal is too young, at that time only they cultivate the stuff from to like extract the stuff for the chymosin A or B. And the pepsin is the endopeptidase that breaks down protein in small amino acids and which is produced in the chief cell of stomach lining. And rennet, which is the most used enzyme for making any kind of cheese. Why? Because there is a versatility in these enzymes, as it is a complex set of enzymes produced in stomach of ruminant mammals and used to separate milk into solid kits. So if I talk about any cheese like processed cheese or blue white cheese or Belgian cheese, mascarpone, but whenever we talk about enzyme and the cheese processing, rennet will be the first option by any commercial industry. Now, this is the main topic I'm gonna talk about, and this industry I'm working, the cheesecake. So from the cream cheese in Middle East and USA, which is very, very popular, like over here, for example, in India, we like to have ice cream or something like as a dessert, and over here, the cheesecake is like everyday people gonna have it, and it is referred as a very royal or posh dessert, I can say. So this cheesecake is a very, like I can say, a very new market in India, like people who gonna thinking to start some business or something. This is really a good chance to think about it. So let me explain about the cheesecake. As we all know, and just to simplify the process to understand, the cheesecake process covering just three main steps, that is depositing, topping, and finishing. So mainly to make the cheesecake, it's very simple ingredients we use over here. These are the first picture you will found is the crumbs. You know, sometimes nowadays people are using the Mary biscuit or low fat biscuits like McVitie's or Nutrilite, or I can say Parle-G. So you can just make a crumb, add sugar and butter, and if you are eating eggs, you can make a batter with the eggs. So these are some example of ingredients which are used for the cheesecake, like graham crumbs, sugar, sour cream, eggs, then some like vanilla essence or any different flavor if you really required. And I will tell you, like, it's the n number of flavor you can invent. It's just your mind and whatever you want to do. Like the Cheesecake Factory or in United States, I found 70 or more than 80 different kind of the cheesecake. So like for example, in India, how many Cadbury's are different flavor, like Bounty having the coconut flavor, fruit and nut having the cashew, as per the different Oreo, Bon, whatever variety you can take, you can just play with it and you can have a different variety of a cheesecake. Okay, so let me jump to the three different section of the processing. First, I explained you about the depositing. Now we talk about the cake. So definitely, it is about the pans. The process start with the pans. So over here in industry, we use the all the aluminum pans. So they are the dry pans from which the gonna making to start. After that, we have to put the collars. Collars is just we put the inner side of the pan and like on the side walls. You can see like I put the picture of pan. So surrounding, we put the butter paper or something so the cake batter and it will not stick. So just like that, commercially they use the word collar. So after the dry pans, we put the collar. After that, at the bottom, we put some base circle. So definitely the cake will be easy to demold. After that, we have to put the crumbs. And for that, commercially, we use the crumb elevator and crumb depositor. So as from the word, we all know, like we have a big chamber of the air in which the crumb dry from bottom to top. And after that, from the unifiller or kind of instrument is there which deposit the crumb on a pan. Now, this is the another word I would like to introduce about the spinner head. On a next slide, I'm going to show you the picture of the cheesecake. So our regular cakes are like just the, we put the batter and it rises and then you put the toppings and all the stuff. Cheesecake is quite different and it's fancy, so whatever the crumbs we are using, it will be on the sides and at the bottom. But so because of the, the different flavors and all this stuff. So once you pour the crumbs, you have to adjust the level. Like the wall should not be thick and wall should not be thin. After that, you have to, with the spinner head is just like the, small pencil or something, and with the vibration, we move the pen. So because of that, we can level up the crumb level. After that, we deposit the batter like vanilla batter or any other flavor. And if you want to add any different like chocolate pieces or chocolate chips or cashews or any nuts, anything you can add it. So first and foremost step for the cheesecake processing is depositing, is the just placemating of the bottoms, collars, the graham crumbs and the batter. After the base is ready for making the cheesecake, it will travel to the oven. Now in an oven, the temperature and all the parameters I will talk to you after I finish all the three section of the process. So once the cake come out from the oven, it will go in a topping section. In topping, we can use like with the strawberry cheesecake, though we will decorate the cake on the top with the cheesecake like strawberry swirl or the blueberries, or if you want the Snickers flavor, or if you want some plain flavor. So like that way, we just simply just you have to see the cake after the oven, the cooling down temperature will be there, and after that it will go to the spiral freezer. So definitely everybody know, like if we cook the cake in oven, we need to cool down the cake at a room temperature, and then only we can put the frosting or any other the decoration. So after that, we put the finishing section. In finishing section, we demold the cake. Like from the pan, we have to remold. And as I told you, it will be in a spiral freezer. So it will be ready, like very easy to demold, and the cake will not be in a D shape or nothing because it was too hard. The temperature is like minus 11 Fahrenheit or minus 10 Fahrenheit. After that, if you need to do slices, like it depend on the customer requirements. I would like once the cake will come out of oven, we can do all the decoration part. If you have to put any topping or something, then it will travel to the spiral freezer. After the spiral freezer, it come to the last section, which is called as a finishing. And finishing, You can demold the cake, like you can remove from the pan. If the customer requirement is with the slices or without slices, according to that we do the slicing of the cake. Then after, sometimes whenever the cake passing from the oven and the spiral freezer, there are some ice crystals, or sometimes it's a commercial plant, so sometimes you will found some crumbs or anything. So the pressure nozzle is used, so because of that whatever crystal will be on the top of the cake, it can be removed. After that, another remaining decoration like roses, like making flower design or something, we can do that. Then we can finishing the cake, we can put on a box, then we can pass from the metal detector, which will be the all the QA aspect. And here the cake will be the done. So let me just tell you, like the cake will be different, but the cream cheese work as a very soft, but when it is baked, the texture will be, the shrikhand, the one of the dessert in India which we make from the yogurt. So it will be something like thick one. So when you cut it, so side it will be the covered with the biscuit, like biscuit crumb, and the center it will be a nice cheesy flavor, but it will be not salty, or it will be not the that much look like a cheesy flavor. Okay, if we talk about some what will be the control points, or we can say critical control points for the processing of the cheesecake, I can categorize in a four. First will be the mixing parameters. So mixing parameters will affect in a first section, which I refer as the depositing. So in depositing, when you have to mix the batter with the sugar, sour cream, flour, baking soda, baking recipe it is, in which one if you over mix it, then what happened, like because you if you're gonna over mix it, it will be losing the, like whatever the whatever the preservatives and whatever the rising agents will be there, it will losing their property. So once the cake will be baked, it will be flat. The concept is very similar while we bake the regular cake. If the baking soda or baking powder will be more or it will be less, the cake will not be give you the good enough result. Another will be if the mixing, whatever the ingredients are there, if we do the under mixing, it will remain some crumb. Like if we adding the cream cheese, sugar and all this stuff, if you not mix it properly, it will create a crumb. And because of that, after baking, you will find the defect like sugar bloom or fat bloom. If I talk about the oven baking parameters, which is the most important parameters for the whole cheesecake processing, I can say that is the main heart of the processing in industry. So first will be the baking temperature. So as we all know, if you put the high temperature, the processing time will be low. But if I have to define the baking temperature, I can say like increase or decrease, or the determines the rate of heat transfer from and to the product. So if you increase or decrease too fast, it will be a temperature shock. Like for example, the cake batter and mixing will be on a room temperature. Once it's come to the oven, definitely we have to bake the cake. So the temperature will be very higher. Temperature, like it's a very simple term, but when you talk about the commercial production, or when you talk about the mega industry or mega food plant, it is very, very, very important. So when you increase or decrease temperature too fast or too slow, that will be a temperature shock. And everybody know that it is just simple science. It's not a big rocket science, but we need to maintain that. So the baking temperature will be very, very important. Second parameter for the oven will be the air velocity. How will you know the air velocity means the flow of hot air inside the baking chamber. Now whenever sometimes the cake takes the cheesecake on a commercial level, like every minute it will be like 500, 600 cakes are producing, then it will take almost sometimes 1 hour or 1 hour 30 minutes to bake. Now the traveling period is 1 hour and 30 minutes. So as soon as the cake start to enter in oven, and as soon as it leave the oven, the whole traveling period, it should be the temperature should be the same at the beginning, at the center and at the end. So here the air velocity is very important, and the hot air should be maintained throughout the processing. Third, if I talk about the heat flux, it is just for the quite theoretically. So basically in an industry, they do not measure the heat flux, but mainly they measure the remaining four parameters. But if I have to explain heat flux, I should like to lay like it's the amount of energy transferred per unit area per unit time from or to to a surface. Like as I told you, the temperature is important. Like the temperature should be same in the whole oven process. Then the air velocity. The speed of hot air should be maintained in the center and at the end. So the QA part, like the QA people or the quality assurance people, they have to measure the temperature as soon as the cake enter, as soon as the cake reach to the center of the oven, and as soon as it leave the cake. So here you can maintain the temperature and the air velocity. Fourth parameter will be the processing time. So now processing time depend on all the thermal events. Like as I told you, the temperature you have put and the temperature you are taking out the cake. And fourth will be the humidity, and this is my personal observation, and as soon as I'm working from 1 year this with this plant, I can say like for the cheesecake, humidity is the biggest factor. Still so many researches are going. Sometimes if the humidity is too high at the outside, and you will find so many baking cracks from the center. It's not necessary every time. The same cake you will find good and the same cake you will find ugly also. So humidity, it influences the moisture migration from the products to the interiors to its surface, and so we can have some baking loss, some evaporation. As I told you, as the ingredients like egg yolk, sugar, everything, so they have some moisture. So when you're gonna bake the cake, it's gonna have some moisture migration, and it will be do like that way. Third parameter will be the cooling temperature. So as I told, like the temperature shock will not be allowed in a commercial process. Why? Because the temperature will be like 350 Fahrenheit, 385 Fahrenheit in an oven. When it comes from the oven, it will be ambient temperature. So 385 Fahrenheit to the 75 Fahrenheit. So it will be a very like big difference, and you can't cool down the cake too fast. If you will do cool down the cake too fast, you will find like there is a softness on the center of the cake. After that, as I explain you about, that will be the last section when we before the shipping. So over there the slicing temperature is very important, because after the oven we are putting the cakes in a spiral freezer, and in a spiral freezer the temperature will be minus 10 Fahrenheit, minus 15 Fahrenheit, sometimes even minus 25 Fahrenheit. So over there, when you have to slice the cake, and you know like it hurts, so if you do slice the cake at a very low temperature, you will find the uneven slices, the edges will not be smooth, and it will be very rough. And if you will do at the high temperature, the cake will be sink from the center, and you will not find the perfect height of the cake. So these are the main control points, or I can say not the critical, but yes, I can say oven baking parameter will be the main CCP of the cheesecake industry, which are the baking temperature, air velocity, process time, flux, and the humidity. Now, the next topic will be cream cheese and its chemistry. After that, I took the product which we make from a cream cheese. That is the main key ingredient, I can say, for the cheesecake processing. If I talk the industry I'm working, that is the international company, and in the whole United States having just two plants, and the plant I'm working, that is the biggest plant, which cover almost 85 percentage production from the whole world. It's supply in whole United States as well as everywhere. You can just name the country and you will find like, okay, the cheesecake is from these plant. In India, as I have mentioned, they have 220 full service restaurant, and they keep increasing. So I can say it can be more than 220, So it's a lot of big industries and big restaurants, and they referred as a very posh and very royal dessert. Let me introduce about the little bit about the US regulation. As we all know, in India, ISO 22,000, 21,000 depend on the, all the terms and all. I won't go in a deep, but I'm just giving you some highlights like in United States, the main food certification is the SQF, that is referred as a safe quality food. So why they use that? So SQF is a food safety management certification which almost all industry have. And because of there are two terms, SQF and GFSI. GFSI is the global food safety certification. So under GFSI, we can say like SQF is covered, and because of these two big, it is the kind of the heart of any industry. Because of this certification, only you can import and export, and halal certification and all the certificate. But these are the main. If you have to import and export anything from United States, this will be the main certification your company or your plant should have. So once your food safety management system is implemented, it is audited and certified by a third party body. But it have some benefits, like I can say managing risk. Like definitely, if you have own a big plant, and your first and foremost building your food safety management system will provide your company with effective management of the food safety hazards by creating such a good environment which is kept producing safe product. In this country, the rules are so strict, you can't allow a single thing, like not in United States, in our country also, but sometimes none of the manipulation or nothing will be allowed over here. If you will find a small hair, real small hair, they will not allow to sell the cake, or they will not allow to ship the cake out of the industry. So this is the main thing. Like here you have to manage your risk. If you find metal or something, in food industry, one of the biggest CCP is the metal control. Like because the our product pass from different instruments, so there can be a chance a piece of metal can be there. So SQF certification is there, which give you the guarantee of having the safe quality product. Another will be the maintain current customer. As I told you, for example, if anybody from India have to start a business, or if they have some certificate, and if they are thinking to buy some products from United States, how you will maintain your current customers? So this is the one of the way, like, okay, my company is SQF certified, okay, my company is halal certified. So here is the, it will open your market, and it will have some chance and opportunity you sell your product. Even for increase your, like you can increase your market also because of the certificate and all the stuff. So this is the main thing I would like to just brief about the cream cheese, the cheesecake processing, and some of the processing parameters. It was just kind of the my personal industrial experience in a different country. Let me tell you, whenever you work in your country, there are some systems and regulation will be different. When you come to the another country and you have when a different, totally a different product, it will be a real different stuff. So I hope whatever I want to deliver and whatever I want to share with all of you about mainly the cream cheese and the cheesecake processing, I think I it should be enough to understand. But if in a future, if you have any questions, and right now also there will be the session in which you can ask me a questions, I would like to satisfy whatever the question you're gonna ask. And thank you so much for having some patience, and sorry about the all the technical issues. So here is the question answer session, we can continue.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was a great presentation, and you have given a lot of information. So I would,
Thank you.
behalf of every all participants, I will read out the questions. Please, you can just
Mhm.
answer them. So the first question is from Adesh. He wants to know composition of whey obtained during cheese manufacturing is similar to the obtained during paneer manufacturing, or is there any difference between the composition of both? Means he basically want to know the whey composition between the both.
Oh, the way composition. Okay, the way composition, I can say the same. It just depend on if you are making the high fat cream cheese or the low fat cream cheese. Because in India, hold on. Okay, it is asking me some question. Uh, okay. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so composition of whey will be the different, not a different, because the processing will be the same. We using the different kind of milk, like having the high fat content or short fat content. So the I don't think like composition will be that much different. The next
Okay.
question.
Thank you, ma'am. It's
Mm-hmm.
a bakery related question. Next is sometime after baking, some color line is observed at the top of the cake. What is the possible reason of that? I don't think it's related to this topic, but still,
Okay. Related to this, yeah, it is something different, but I can relate the oven baking parameters and the
yeah.
mixing parameters. I told you, like, when if I talk about the simple cake, like the, for example, vanilla sponge cake, and if you're adding the baking soda or baking powder, and if you do not mix it properly, or if you mix it very, like for the longer time, and then you put in a oven, it gonna, I told about the sugar bloom and fat bloom, sugar have, it will be crystallization process and it will give you the Maillard reaction, so all because of that, the all the reaction happen, and because of that you will find the baking holes or baking cracks and some kind of the color line because of the uneven mixing.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, for the answer.
Hmm.
Next is during crust formation, these lines are formed. Someone has answered the question. Uh,
Okay.
okay,
Yeah, that's what I said.
I will
Hmm.
tell you ask you the next question. What is the shelf
Hmm.
life of cheesecake?
Okay, the shelf life of a cheesecake will be 9 months to 11 months. It depends on a different product, but in general, I can say whatever the cheesecake having the chocolate flavor, the chocolate do not have shelf life more than 9 months. So
Okay,
9 months to 11 months.
okay, thank you, ma'am. And how much is the temperature of baking oven?
Yes, oven baking temperature will be vary from 275 Fahrenheit to the 385 Fahrenheit. It completely depend on the different recipes, different flavors, because as I told you over here, I found 80 plus different variety of cakes. So, it will just depend, but the range will be 85 Fahrenheit to the 385, or I can say 400 Fahrenheit.
Okay, thank you so much. Does cheesecake
Mhm.
cost too much than the normal ice cake?
Yes. If I talk about the US currency, for a 1 pound means I can say 780 gram cake will cost you in USA it will be the $7. So if I calculate with India, I can say yeah 500 600 rupees.
Okay. Which ingredients are often used to make cheesecake crust?
That's the in United States, the cracker are very famous. That is called the Graham cracker. If you will search on a Google, you will find. So I relate and I explain about like Mary biscuit or Parle-G biscuit. So something like that. So these are the mainly they use for the Graham cracker, sugar and butter for making a crown.
Okay. Next is
Mhm.
only rennet used for cheese processing? In what amount rennet it is added?
It is a very commercial question, and I can't say on what amount because it depends on how much in a one batch, how much quantity you're using, and that is some confidential data. So I can't share those, but it is different. So sorry
Yeah,
about that answer.
it's fine. It's totally fine. Uh, Next question. Is there any
Mhm.
flavor alternation due to addition of cheese to cake?
Okay, quite interesting question. So, as I explained you, this cream cheese is not just our processed cheese and mozzarella cheese. Is it just like a unsalted butter but very whitish? So, I can explain like a whipped cream or something. So, there will not be any flavor alteration. Yes, if you are using the definitely the very old cream cheese, then you will file some inferior flavor or some like a very off flavor, but there will not be any flavor alteration because of the cheese in the cake.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And
Mhm.
next is how much time is required to ready a cake? To
Right. Okay. Here again, the same question and same answer I would like. It depend on the different recipe, but if it's the just plain original cheesecake, like the simple Graham and the cheesecake batter, having just the sugar, sour cream, cream cheese, and vanilla essence, that's all. Then it will take almost 1 hour and 20 minutes to bake, and after that you have to put in a spiral freezer. So total processing time from starting to end will be, I can say, 5 hours on a commercial process.
okay, thank you, ma'am. Next is, will cheesecake firm up in
Mm-hmm.
fridge?
Yes, we have to, after the baking, if you will put in a fridge, it will be good to settle down, but it is not compulsory. Like for the settling the cake, you have to put in a fridge. But all the cheesecake over here, they put in a deep freeze in a very, very lowest temperature. So it will give you the more shelf life. Like you can extend the shelf life. If you will go in any of the store in United States, you will find 3 months, 4 months old cake that will be completely fine and fresh if you will taste on a very first day.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. I guess that was yeah. We got one more question. Do you have any idea about any company in India which produce cheesecake so we can taste the same? This is an
Right, that's
interesting.
nice. If I would, Zoom should have some options so I can give you and serve you the cheesecake to everyone via Zoom, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a very bad luck. But in India, I don't know any of the, right, in India, any of the company, I don't think so it's making. But if people are from Mumbai or Pune or something, you will find really from any of the cafeteria because in India, I can say for one slice, they're gonna cost you like 200 or 250 rupees. But yeah, it will be available in metro cities. Yes, for
Okay,
sure.
means imported material it would be.
I can read. Please provide the brand name. No, ma'am, I don't know any brand name available over here. But I know like India is also exporting from our industry. So I don't know if they really sell as the cheesecake factory or they just get as a wholesaler. So I don't know about the Indian brand name who provide the cheese.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. And that was end of the question answer session. And I'm very thankful that you
Okay.
were here at the late night hours too. It was a pleasure having a meeting with you, a webinar with you. And we will glad if you come up with us again because due to technical issue we have some and even we have some limitations of seats. We would plan for a big event with huge. It's like we will have a huge audience there.
Right.
I will like to invite you for the next.
Mm-hmm.
I will send you the invitation again. And thank you so much for
Sure, sure.
coming here, and thanks for the participants. And again, I would like to make an announcement for the evening session. Please be sure that you are with good internet speed and 5 minutes prior to the meeting that you can get your admission or entry done for this. Thank you so much, ma'am, and have a good night there.
No problem. Yes, yes, sure. And you guys have a very good day. And I hope everybody will be safe with your family in COVID-19. Just take more care and just make your family safe. And if you are guys working like me over here, please take all the protection and then work for your company. So thank you so much again. And I hope to see you all again for the next session. I will try my best.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. You all have a great day. Okay, bye
Uh,
bye. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you all the participants for coming here.